What is this thing that makes us want to embark on a spiritual journey? What is this feeling you have that ever since you were born, you were lied to? This feeling that there is more than meets the eye in this 3D world of ours. This feeling is called suffering. Spiritual suffering is the first trigger that will make you want to remember who you are, aka take your first step on a spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening, aka remembering who you are, that is a drop of source in this 3D world of ours, source that chose to incarnate in you, in everyone and everything, in order to experience life for everything it has to offer. You experience suffering when, despite the fact that reality shows you separation, your heart remembers unity. Reality, the 3D world we live in, shows you separation because you feel different than other people, right? You do not see that, you do not yet see that we are all one. Everything and everyone. We are all one. We all come from the higher self, source, God, call it whatever you want, which is unconditional love. And back to unconditional love we go to when we leave this meat suit of ours behind. And the seat of unconditional love, the seat of love, is your heart. Your heart is the direct link between you and the higher self, which is also you. That is why ego, which is not your best friend, doesn't reside in the heart. But love, unconditional love, which is not only your best friend, but what you really are, resides in the heart. That is why when you have a spiritual awakening and all of a sudden you remember who you are, you remember that you are the higher self, source, God, call it whatever you want, you can, and oftentimes will, which at least that's what happened to me, experience an opening of the heart chakra, which to me translated as a very powerful, dare I say painful, experience. It was physically painful. I thought that I was having heart problems or whatever. And, I went through a battery of tests and whatever, and all the doctors told me, no, your heart is fine. Like, we don't understand. You're completely okay. Which did not take away what I felt deep in my heart, that, a door was opening, a gate was opening. Afterwards, I realized what it was, which is what I just told you, that my heart chakra was opening. But when your heart chakra is not yet opened, it doesn't mean that your heart will not tell you things. When people say, I have a gut feeling, I think it should be renamed as a heart feeling. I have a heart feeling. Because usually when you follow your heart, aka you follow unconditional love, aka you follow direct downloads from the higher self for your greatest good, you will see things differently. You will almost, quote unquote, actually, you know what? Strike the quote unquote. You will remember things from maybe past lives, or you will have such a direct download from the higher self that you will feel almost like you are all knowing in a way. And that is why I said that the origin of this disconnect that you can feel between what you see and what you feel is when your heart is telling you that yes, you are unity, you are one, we are all one, we all come from the higher self. But your eyes and your mind keep on telling you that no, we are not. No, we are not. You are your body. This body is who you are. This is this material world is the only thing that you know and will ever know. But deep down inside, in the heart, where unconditional love resides, you hear a different voice. This little voice tells you that no, we are one. And so the disconnect between remembering unity with your heart, but still believing in the ego and your eyes that tell you that we are all separate, creates an imbalance, which translates into spiritual suffering. And really from this point, the only thing you can, no, actually there are two things you can do when you feel this spiritual suffering. You can either choose to completely surrender to your ego, to fully embrace enslavement from your ego, and shut down your heart, and completely live in this material world of ours, genuinely feeling and thinking that you are your body, that there is absolutely nothing after death, and that death is actually a reality. Or you can choose to follow the breadcrumbs that the higher self is giving you. Follow the trail, the spiritual trail towards spiritual awakening, and realizing, understanding and remembering that we are all one, that we are all love, and that there is no such thing as death. That the death of this physical body doesn't mean the death of who you are, because you are eternal. You are the higher self. You are one with each and every one of us. We are one. And that there is no such thing as separation. Separation is a lie. It is just a lie. Of course, it serves the ego to believe that there is such thing as separation because, for instance, when someone hurts someone, if they do not believe that we are all one and that there is separation, then they are hurting the other, not themselves. While when you realize and you know and you remember that we are all one, hurting anyone is hurting yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. Believing in the ego will not prevent you from getting the consequences of hurting others. The fact that you do not know when you chose to listen to your ego, the fact that you do not know that hurting somebody else hurts yourself too, doesn't make it that you will not suffer the consequences of hurting others. The only difference is that at first you don't know that you are hurting yourself. And when you are spiritually awakened, if you will, if you hurt others, which, to be honest, once you are spiritually awakened, you don't want to do that anymore, if you did it in the past. The only difference is that you know full well that if you did it, you would hurt yourself too. And so, it's going to be a short video again. The idea that life is unbearable to us is actually a good thing, because the suffering that comes from feeling like life is unbearable, then again, what is the chicken, what is the egg, right? Is it because you suffer that life is unbearable, or is it because life is unbearable that you suffer? The great thing about that is that usually if you listen to your heart, that is the starting point. That is the moment when you choose, consciously most of the time, but sometimes unconsciously, to take the first step towards spiritual awakening. So again, as with everything in life, and especially the bad things, everything that is given to us through the higher self is a lesson. And suffering is also a lesson. Why do I suffer? Because I feel separate from others. Why am I still suffering? Because I am consciously or unconsciously refusing to understand the origin of this suffering, which is an illusion. And I'm not taking the first step on that beautiful spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening. But eventually you'll get there, because we all get there. The destination for every single one of us is the same. That is spiritual awakening. It's just that some people go on the path towards spiritual awakening running, and others walking, and others crawling, and others limping, and so on and so forth. But the destination is the same for each and every one of us. Every single one of us will get there eventually.